Like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't...
The room goes silent. Nobody laughs because they know exactly what he's talking about.
So very beautiful. She was perfect. I can't bring myself to write what happened. I am beyond broken. I only got 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her.
But here's what nobody is connecting.
Truth is, I am that person that you see on TV. I am also a lot of other things. Sometimes I get sad, I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient.
When Ricky Gervais warned that room at the Golden Globes, he wasn't just talking about Epstein. He was talking about a system that protects the people with the most power. A system where one person gets blacklisted for trying to expose trafficking, but another person, someone with millions of followers, someone who told the world to be kind every single day, that person was allegedly running the operation the whole time. This is that story. Ricky Gervais is not a conspiracy theorist. He's not some random guy with a YouTube channel trying to get views. He's one of the most famous comedians in the world, and for years he hosted the Golden Globes. Year after year, he stood on that stage in front of 200 of the most powerful people in entertainment, and he made jokes, but they weren't jokes, they were warnings.
I'm gonna write my own jokes, right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home?
Gervais was telling you something that was hidden in plain sight. He wasn't using names, he didn't have to. Everyone in that room knew what he was referencing, because they had all been on a list. They had all been at a party. They had all been at a dinner. They all knew who else had been there. That's why they didn't laugh. You don't laugh at a warning shot. But Gervais wasn't alone in trying to warn us. There was another man trying to expose what was happening. Jim Caviezel, not some random activist, not a conspiracy theorist. The man Mel Gibson personally chose to play Jesus Christ in The Passion of the Christ, a film that made $612 million worldwide. After that, he had everything: fame, respect, a guaranteed Hollywood future. And then he signed on to a film called Sound of Freedom, a film about a real federal agent named Tim Ballard who quit his career to rescue children from trafficking networks. And that's when everything changed for Jim Caviezel.
We've come to a very, very dark place.
Every studio rejected Sound of Freedom. The message was crystal clear. From Rupert Murdoch at Fox to every other major studio, there was a directive: if you touch this film, you will be destroyed. If you make a movie about rescuing children from trafficking networks, your career is finished. And they made good on that threat. Caviezel was blacklisted twice, but he kept talking. He kept asking questions. He kept connecting dots that nobody else was willing to touch. And when he started digging, he realized something that Ricky Gervais had been trying to tell us all along. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. It protects the powerful through silence. It ridicules anyone who asks questions. It controls which stories disappear quietly and which ones blow up. But here's the part nobody was connecting. The system protects the powerful in direct proportion to their visibility. The more visible you are, the more protected you are. The more people you reach, the safer you become. And then there was Ellen DeGeneres. By 2022, Ellen wasn't just famous. She had built an empire on two words: be kind. That was the entire foundation of her brand. Be kind was on the merchandise. It was in the intro. It was in every interview. It was her entire personality. America's daytime sweetheart. The woman who danced into your living room every single afternoon and told millions of people to just be a little nicer to each other. She had a daytime show that millions of Americans watched every single afternoon. But in 2020, the facade cracked, and what came out shocked people who had believed in her for years. 36 former employees went to BuzzFeed with a story. Not interns, not junior assistants, actual producers who worked with Ellen for years. And what they described was the exact opposite of kindness.
Phony, hypocrite, liar.
That was Hamuska, an actual producer on Ellen's show. And she wasn't alone.
Don't talk to Ellen. Don't do this. You can't, go into her office. It was very nerve-wracking, very stressful. We all walked on eggshells all
The Be Kind Show, the daytime program that told America to be kind, had a culture of fear so thick that employees were afraid to even look at her. They walked on eggshells every single day. Warner Media launched an investigation. 3 executive producers were fired. The allegations included inappropriate touching, racial discrimination, and a culture of fear that had gone on for years. When Ellen finally addressed it on her own show, she gave an apology that apologized for nothing.
I am that person that you see on TV. I am also a lot of other things. Sometimes I get sad, I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient, and I am working on all of that.
That's it. That's the apology. I'm working on being less of a monster. And America accepted it because the system protects the powerful. The show ended in May of 2022, 19 years gone. But what happened next was darker than anyone could have anticipated. 2 months after Ellen's show ended, her ex-girlfriend Anne Heche was dead. Anne Heche's car was caught on camera, ripping through a residential neighborhood at extremely high speed. It slammed into a house. Everything caught fire. She was pulled from the wreckage with severe burns. And then a clip surfaced that the internet has never been able to forget. A video showing her in a hospital bed, sitting bolt upright, unzipping herself from a body bag, looking very much alive. And then a few minutes later, gone. The official ruling, accidental. 4 months later, December 13th, 2022, Steven Twitch Boss, the literal face of the Be Kind brand, Ellen's DJ, her executive producer, the guy who danced with her every single day on live television, was found dead in a motel room. The official ruling, suicide. His widow said nobody saw it coming. His grandfather said, as recently as that Saturday, Twitch was the same happy person. And then suddenly, he was gone. 2 people connected to Ellen, both dead in 4 months. Both deaths officially closed. Both families left with questions. And then, in January of 2025, Allison Holker came forward with something new. She revealed that after Twitch's death, she was cleaning out their closet and discovered something she never knew existed: a large stash of drugs hidden in shoeboxes. 2 people connected to Ellen gone in 4 months. The official stories closed. The families left wondering, and Ellen kept moving. But then, in February of 2026, everything changed. Over 3.5 million pages of documents from the Department of Justice were unsealed. Files connected to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The biggest release of files connected to the trafficking operation in history. And when people started going through those files, Ellen's name appeared. Not as someone investigating Epstein, not as a victim, as someone allegedly involved in what the victim diaries describe as a baby factory. Now, before we get to what those diaries actually say, you need to understand something about Ellen's public circle. She was documented as being close with 3 men who were each separately convicted of serious crimes. 3 men, 3 separate convictions, all involving exploitation. Number 1, Sean Diddy Combs. Diddy appeared on Ellen's show multiple times over the years. They had a documented friendship, and in 2016, on her show, on camera, with the audience clapping, Ellen called him this.
Time. Diddy, come on out.
In September of 2024, Diddy was arrested on federal charges. In July of 2025, he was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation for prostitution. In October of 2025, he was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in prison. Number 2, Harvey Weinstein. Ellen and Weinstein were photographed together at events. He appeared on her show, she publicly supported his projects, and we all know what happened to Harvey Weinstein. Number 3, Leon Black, a close associate of Epstein, who appears in the victim diaries as a perpetrator. Ellen had 3 convicted men in her inner circle, but that's just the surface of what we're about to uncover. At the exact same time the Epstein files were dropping with Ellen's name inside, victim diaries started circulating online. And what those diaries described wasn't just abuse. It was industrial-scale trafficking and forced reproduction. One victim, a girl who was 15 or 16 when she started being abused, created journals documenting everything that happened to her. The DOJ has already decoded these diaries, and what she describes will change everything you thought you knew about the Epstein operation. She wrote about being forced to have children, not one, multiple children, babies that were taken from her immediately after birth. She heard them crying. She saw them for only minutes before they disappeared.
Oh, very beautiful. She was perfect. I can't bring myself to write what happened. I am beyond broken. I only got 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her.
10 to 15 minutes. That's all a young girl got with her baby before it disappeared. The victim's diaries documented multiple pregnancies, multiple babies taken, multiple procedures, multiple instances of being transported to different locations for the purpose of reproduction. Forced reproduction on an industrial scale. And this victim's diaries name names: AOL executives, political figures, Leon Black, a close associate of Epstein, references to Mar-a-Lago, the Trump property. But here's the part that nobody is connecting. The victim's diaries also contain references to a lady, a woman who was controlling her, a woman who was making decisions about her body, her pregnancies, and her babies, a woman who had power over the operation, a woman who could make it stop if she wanted to. That woman's name appears nowhere in the decoded portions of the diaries, but the dates match, the timeline matches. The operations she describes happened in the exact locations and timeframes where we have documented evidence of Ellen DeGeneres' social and professional connections. But here's where it gets even darker. Because while all of this was happening, the DOJ files revealed something that Epstein had been working on that goes beyond even forced reproduction. The files contain emails from a man named Brian Bishop, sent directly to Epstein. Here's what it said. Attached is the doc you requested. It's the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. This gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. A human cloning company within 5 years of live birth. That's what Epstein was funding and allegedly involved in. There's another email allegedly from Epstein himself to a man named Barnaby Marshy that reads, "Should we build a mind reader? It would use de-encryption, new understandings of the brain. Can we involve the New York Academy of Sciences in one of our projects? Should we do a project on tissue regeneration?" And in parentheses, it says cloning, tissue regeneration, mind readers. This wasn't just about trafficking young girls. This was an entire operation designed to produce human beings on a mass scale and explore technologies that have only existed in science fiction. The victim diaries describe a baby factory. The DOJ files describe a cloning company. Epstein was running an industrial-scale reproduction operation designed to produce human beings and harvest genetic material. And Ellen DeGeneres' name is in the files as someone allegedly involved. Let's talk about the timeline, because timeline is evidence. Calendars don't lie. Jeffrey Epstein arrested in 2019 after years of rumors that everyone in powerful circles had heard. Ghislaine Maxwell convicted in 2021 after the same rumors had been ignored for a decade. Sean Diddy Combs arrested in 2024 after years of stories the industry had buried. Ellen DeGeneres' show ended in May of 2022, exactly at the moment when the legal heat was about to become unbearable. 2 months later, Anne Hesh was dead. 4 months later, Stephen Twitch Boss was dead. The Epstein files were unsealed in February of 2026. Ellen DeGeneres is currently in the Cotswolds in England. That timeline is not a feeling. That's not a vibe. That's a calendar. And calendars don't lie. But here's what's even more significant. The files are still being unsealed. Right now, today, only 20 to 30% are public. The other 70 to 80% are still sealed. And the people whose names are in the sealed portion know it. When Ricky Gervais stood on that Golden Globe stage and said what he said about Epstein, he wasn't talking about Epstein working alone. He was talking about the people in that room who were protecting the operation.
Like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't...
He was talking about a system where one person can speak out, can try to expose trafficking, can make a film about rescuing children, and get blacklisted for it. But another person, a woman with a massive platform, a woman who told the world to be kind, could be involved in the exact same trafficking operation and get protected by that same system. Jim Caviezel realized that when the files dropped. That's why he broke down, because he had been right all along. Ricky Gervais had been right all along, and everyone who had been mocked, blacklisted, and silenced for asking questions had been right. But what made Jim Caviezel understand the full scope was something else. He understood that the person running a baby factory had the resources to make people disappear, had the resources to move internationally, had the resources to change countries, hire new lawyers, and influence which stories get told and which ones disappear quietly. You're looking at someone with Ellen DeGeneres' level of power, visibility, and reach. Right now, in real time, something is happening. The people whose names are in the sealed files know it. The people who flew on the planes know it. The people who went to the parties know it. The people who sat in the rooms with phones in pouches and agreements on tables, they know it. And they're moving, selling houses, switching countries, going quiet, hiring new lawyers, waiting. Ellen is in England. 3 of her on-camera friends are convicted criminals. 2 of the people closest to her died within 4 months of her show ending. Her name is in the files. Gervais told you. Caviezel told you. The victim diaries tell you. But here's what's really happening. The DOJ has those diaries. The DOJ has decoded them. The DOJ has names. The DOJ has dates. The DOJ has locations. The DOJ has corroborating evidence. And they're releasing it in trenches, strategically, methodically, piece by piece. Why? Because they're building a case. And when you're building a case against someone with Ellen DeGeneres' level of power and reach, you don't rush it. You document everything. You lock down every contradiction. You make it airtight. Because if you're going to take down someone who spent 19 years broadcasting Be Kind to America while allegedly operating a trafficking ring in the background, you you better be absolutely certain. You better have ironclad evidence. You better have victim testimony. You better have documents. You better have the kind of case that can survive the best lawyers money can buy. And if you look at what's already public, the victim diaries describing a baby factory, the names of the perpetrators being documented, the references to powerful men in commerce and politics, the evidence of forced reproduction, the disappearance of newborns, that's not just an investigation, that's a prosecution building. Ricky Gervais ended his warning with a question, and that same question is still hanging in the air.
Sending that person, here you go, you can do whatever you want. No, it doesn't work that in the industry. We've come to a very, very dark.
The question now isn't whether the next chapter is coming. The question is whose name leads it. Because when you have a system designed to protect the powerful through silence, when you have a platform that allows you to broadcast be kind while the exact opposite is happening behind closed doors, when you have the resources to make people disappear and the connections to make stories go away, you don't just disappear overnight to England unless something catastrophic is about to break. And something is breaking. The files keep getting unsealed. The victim diaries are being decoded. The contradictions are being locked down. The case is being built. And with every new batch of documents released by the DOJ, one thing becomes clearer. Ricky Gervais was right. Jim Caviezel was right. The victim diaries are right. And the people in that room at the Golden Globes, the ones who didn't laugh at the joke, they're sitting very still right now, hoping their names don't appear in the next batch of unsealed files. Based on what we're already seeing in the victim diaries, the answer is probably all of them.